I would like to start by introducing our first speaker of the day, Dmitri Tcherevik, our Chief Technology Officer. Dmitri is a developer, he's a technologist, he's an entrepreneur, and he has an uncanny ability to understand where technologies are developing and what the most important technologies for the next wave of progress will be. Dmitri currently runs Progress Labs, our incubator, our internal incubator that takes kind of the best ideas from within Progress and turns them into the next generation of our products. Dmitri also runs our next generation application platform business, including Progress Kinvey, NativeScript, and Data RPM. Dmitri is a great speaker, an amazing CTO. Please join me in welcoming Dmitri Tcherevik.
Got it. Yep, thank you. Thank you, Lauren. I'll actually use this one here. So thank you very much, and welcome everybody to the conference. I hope you are having a great time here. Apps of the future. And apps of the future, as you heard from Yogesh yesterday, we create them using our high productivity application platform called Kinvey in OpenEdge and other platforms that we have. So we've been thinking about this high productivity part a lot, like productivity. What does it mean? And of course, we engineers, when we think about productivity, we start drawing diagrams. So I'll do a few diagrams for you today, and we will do them together. So here's a diagram. So productivity, what does it take to have high productivity? Of course, you need to generate output, right? And the more output you generate, the higher the productivity. So there is this plus there. And then you also need to hopefully not spend too much time doing it. So there is this minus sign. It's time, output, and productivity. So this is like the first diagram. And then you can have different objectives, for high productivity. You may want to generate higher profit. You may want to generate more revenue. But what I'm really excited about is free time. If it takes you half the time to generate the same output, you suddenly start generating free time. And we love free time. So what do we do with all this free time? And I know what you are thinking. It's, This is not a Progress way. At Progress, when we have free time, we just build more apps. So this is my free time here. I just go and I build an app. And we discovered something interesting here. It's when you have free time, you build an app, suddenly you become more productive, you generate more output, you generate more free time, and you build another app, and you build more apps, and you're like so productive all the time. This is what we call reinforcing loop, right? It's a positive feedback loop. So as engineers, we like this a lot, because whenever you see a positive feedback loop, it's compounding. Whatever you do is getting better and better. And we've seen this in other areas. The great one said, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. So we certainly know that this works in finance, right? But does it work in the enterprise? As you build more apps, does your productivity grow? At some point, you have so many apps, you don't have to work at all, right? Is this how it works in your enterprise? What, no? Not? All right, yeah. I kind of agree with you. It doesn't really work that way. I think I have too many apps. I have like 6, 8 apps on my phone that I keep switching between, and I think there is too many. And they keep interrupting me with all these notifications and messages. That on average, we get interrupted about every 2 minutes. And then once you get interrupted, it takes about 20 minutes to get back in the flow. So if you have too many applications, you're actually not getting more productive, right? At some point, there is a limit to what you can achieve with the apps. So the model that we built, unfortunately, is all wrong. We have to work on it some more. So let's work on it some more. So what can we do here? So there is this term, and you can actually Google it. It's a real term. It's called app fatigue. So at some point, when you have many apps, you actually achieve this limit called app fatigue, right? So the overhead of switching, this context switching and getting back in the flow is just becoming too much. And that is increasing the time to do anything. So you have free time, you build the apps, you increase the output, but at the same time, you're increasing the app fatigue, and that is creating this negative loop. So at some point, if you're at the start of your journey and you're just deploying a few apps in the enterprise, you will see that productivity boost. But at some point, there is a limit that you will reach, right? And I think many of us have, or at least some of us have seen this. So what can we do? And so there is an answer, and the answer is integration. So we can start integrating the applications, and that integration loop is reducing the app fatigue, and that's yet another positive reinforcement loop, right? So this whole idea of loops and cycles is very, very powerful. You see them everywhere, and when you see this kind of two reinforcing loops working in parallel, that's very good. That's what you want to see. And we have seen this in other places. Like, I'll use this example here. Like, do you know who this gentleman is or was? So I'll give you a hint. He lived in Russia, and he set the standard for royal Russian vodka. Right? So if you're drinking vodka, you have to thank this guy here. So it's actually established the standard. So that is one his claim to fame. But actually, he's famous for the other thing. His name is Dmitri, and he's Mendeleev. So this is Dmitri Mendeleev, and he just discovered this, the periodic table of elements. And periodic table of elements is full of cycles and periods and everything and so he was able to detect the cycles in properties of chemical elements, and because of that, he was able to build this table. And now that he built it, he could predict properties of other elements that were not yet in the table, or discover elements that were not yet in the table and predict elements that he already knew. So by just discovering those periods and those cycles, he was able to predict the future. So that's the power. It's probably one of the better-known predictive models that were built. So let's use the discovery that we just made. We just discovered the cycles, the integrate build cycles. We'll build the model. And this is what we do, right? So we start building, then we do integration. We start building, we do integration. So we kind of oscillate in between the two states. And this is a model. Let's see if we can predict the future. So I've been around long enough, I even remember mainframes, And to all my CA friends, CA 90s. So you have mainframe applications. First we started developing them, and then at some point we hit the limit. We have to integrate them, so CA 90s. And then client server, the greatest new technology. We use Power Builder, Visual Basic to build applications. At some point we hit the limit. What do we invent? We invent Enterprise Service Bus, or Core Bus. So some of you may know that stuff, right? So it's client-server apps, integration platforms. So we keep going back and forth. So what's the next one after client-server? What did we discover? We discovered we could do web, right? We connected our client-server applications to the web. And after that, we discovered portlets. So you have web applications popping up everywhere. I remember, you had like a web application for everything. And then suddenly, web portals became a thing. And now we have cloud. And for integrating cloud apps, we invented microservices. And now we have mobility, right? So it just keeps going. And so we have built this model. We have now mapped kind of this model and everything that we've been doing. And now let's try predicting the future. So this is just rich, right? What can we predict about this? Like, what do you think is coming after mobility? Like, who knows, right? But at least we can start predicting some properties of that. So let's take a look at this. Client-server web. So back-end technology, front-end technology, right? And then cloud mobility. Back-end technology, front-end technology. So I don't know what that other thing is going to be, but it's probably going to be something to do with infrastructure and back-end and then connectivity. So I'm just So next year when we get here together, I'll tell you what that is and I'll give you a demo, right? So, but we kind of know like the properties of that. So this model enables us to do that. But now there is this other thing, like what comes after microservices at the bottom, right? So we have cloud, and we use microservices to integrate cloud services. And now mobility, what do we use to integrate mobile apps? And for that, I think we have micro apps. So this is a new term. We have just discovered a new element using this model that we have built. And in fact, we have a team that discovered this element 18 months ago. So I would like to invite Nishal Reddy. His team has been working on this in Progress Labs for the past 18 months.
Hello.
And now they're getting ready to launch a product. So Nishal.
Hey, Dmitri.
How are you doing?
Good.
So tell us, what is the problem we are solving with micro apps?
So we are really trying to solve the productivity problem for the users and the IT. It is estimated that a typical organization has somewhere between 50 to 100 different systems. That's huge, right? And moreover, some of these systems provide web and mobile apps. Few provide just web interfaces. And there are still those legacy applications that provide not so good to use command line interfaces, right? And now users have to switch context to accomplish simple tasks, and IT have to maintain so many apps, and business asks for more apps, and which adds to the burden. So with micro apps, we want to get all these systems together in one single homogeneous container app. so that users can access everything in one single place, and IT can build and maintain just one single app.
Oh, beautiful. So can you show us how this works? Like in this example, so let's say we have Yoloho Health, it's a hospital. They need to build an app for their patients and doctors. Can they use micro apps for that?
Yeah, sure. So here we have a hospital who's trying to build an app for their patients and doctors, right? They can use Kinway Micro Apps platform to deliver mobile experiences fast. They can get started by creating a container app. A container app could be a web or mobile app that can host any number of micro features in it, or micro apps as we call it. And they can get started by using our low-code tools to build the micro apps, or they can also start by using available templates. As you see here, we are going to select a couple of templates. The no-show and appointment scheduler are powered by Kinway Health's NoShow Solution, whereas we also selected a Kinway chatbot. And the last micro app is a feedback micro app, which is powered by Corticon Rules Engine. If you observe closely, we have a couple of micro apps here, which are powered by different systems, but we are getting them all together in one single place through micro apps. So now we can also set access restrictions.
So it is one container delivered to all the users? Can you personalize this for different users?
Sure. So for example, here, the no-show app is really not relevant for the patients, right? So I can really use the role-based access restrictions to filter out the users who are not really relevant for this app. And also you can choose what channels to make these micro apps available in. Here I want to make this micro app available in both web and mobile channel. And once you publish these micro apps, they will be dynamically deployed over the air onto the mobile container, and users can access them instantly without having to update their app.
So let me understand, this is just one application that you give to your employees, and then when you update it, they don't have to download and install anything?
Exactly. So when you build new features or micro apps, and when you apply some bug fixes or patches, everything happens automatically and will be deployed over the air. So users don't have to worry about keeping their apps up to date, and IT can just maintain one single app.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Very exciting. So there is a better way, right? So instead of going through the cycle of building applications and integrating applications and then building more applications and integrating them again, so if you're dealing with mobile applications or web applications, you have this idea of micro app, right? So you have one container, you just deploy it on the mobile devices used by your users, and then when you have an update or if you need to push a new application, you can just use that container. And so this idea of interruption and mobile applications is very important, right? This is how we execute workflows. There is something that happened in Salesforce, you have to react to that event, you have to execute some kind of a workflow. So the idea of a micro app matches that really, really well, right? So there is some kind of an event, this event is pushed to this container, to your device. With that event, you may receive actually an application that can be used to handle that event and advance the workflow to the next step, right? So it's a very powerful, extensible concept, and so you are building apps and they're integrated by default, by design. So we looked at the right side, right? How we can use applications and micro applications to increase output and increase productivity. What about the left side? Can we do something to reduce time? Is there something that can be done there? And we have seen this, right? So if you saw this with predictive maintenance and data RPM. So data RPM is collecting data from all kinds of sensors. Those sensors are stored in a data lake. You can then build a model based on that data, and you can predict when this or that equipment is going to fail. And then based on that, you can do predictive scheduling of maintenance. So this is one instance, right? So that allows you to cut the downtime of this expensive equipment. But what about this application that we have just built, right? So the application that we built for a hospital. So doctor time is expensive, and patients schedule appointments, and then inevitably some of them do not show up, right? So, and that is causing the downtime. And we can probably, now that everybody is using this application, doctors are using this application and patients are using this application, we can probably do something to solve this problem. And it is a big problem, and customers have been asking for a solution. So we have been working on a solution for some time. I would like to introduce Ellie Houghton, our product marketing manager for healthcare. She's been working on this for a few months.
Good morning, everyone.
And can now share the fruits of her labor.
Hiya.
Hey, Ellie.
How are you?
So why is patient no-show such a big problem?
Well, $150 billion was last year on people not attending their clinical appointment. So if you take a mid-sized hospital that books 500,000 appointments, those are people that said they wanted a doctor's appointment. That's for $185, which is the baseline average cost. That's $92 million. But we know that 13% of those individuals will not show up for their appointments. That's 65,000 appointments that people just do not show up for. So that's $12 million annually that is lost for a single hospital. That's a small hospital.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
So how do we solve it? Can you show us?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the interface for the NoShow solution. And what I'd like to make clear, it's not a scheduling solution, it's an adherence protocol tool. And what we do is allow the practices to use their existing data assets, and their data assets is what creates the bond for what a patient will and will not show up to their clinical appointment. So in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see some colors. Green, probably they'll show up. Yellow, not so much. Red, high probability they're sleeping in or they didn't get enough coffee and they've missed their appointment. They're not coming.
Got it. So all those colors, they're generated by data RPM based on data?
Yeah, the best part about this solution, it's not that it's generated by data RPM. Data RPM uses the existing data assets that the practices have. So this entire screen is modified specifically to that practice. It's not us telling the practice, but the practice deciding what is best for them to generate revenue and keep their patients adherent.
I see. So how can we schedule an appointment?
Let's go there. So you go to the upper right-hand corner. You add an appointment. You can select the doctor that you'd like because patients call in and want to see a specific doctor. You look at the schedule, the probability. You type in a name. In this case, it's Dakota. You'll see different Dakotas. You'll choose based on an email or whatever identifier the practice has. You'll see the scheduling component. And we're going to select an appointment that we know that Dakota has a higher than 20% chance of attending. We select the appointment, we add it, and this individual wants to receive an SMS. The ability to look at 3 different things, we know in the literature it's email, SMS, and phone calls. This individual wants SMS, we schedule it, and if you look down, Dakota will be there for her appointment. She's going to receive an SMS using the existing technology that the solution has for the practice.
Very interesting. Yeah, so now when I schedule my flights, right, I know that airlines are doing overbooking sometimes. Can we do something similar here?
Yeah, you know, the overbooking thing makes practices kind of nervous, but the reality is that's the wave of the future. We have to start to overbook patients for revenue cycle management. So in this instant, we look at a patient that has a higher than average probability of not showing. So we click, we add. There's a new patient calling in for a dermatology appointment, Zoe. She's chosen her physician. We're going to select Zoe. It's going to fetch when she has a probability of showing up. We're not going to choose anything in the red. We're going to select her time slot. We're going to add it. And she wants to receive an email as well as a phone call. She's a busy person. She wants dual adherence protocols added. We add Zoe, and if you see in the bottom, Zoe's there. And so the great thing about this is now the practice has a better than average chance of filling that slot.
Wonderful. So this is revenue cycle optimization at its best.
It is revenue cycle optimization, it's clinical operational efficiency, but the best part about it, it gives the practice real-time data to make changes.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you.
So what we saw here is an example of a cognitive application. And a cognitive application, it is something that can take your data, can take your business rules, and process them and generate insight, somehow generate efficiency for your business. So the idea is simple, right? You have some application that is generating a ton of data. You want to improve this application. You can use a tool like Data RPM to build a model. And there may be some models that are available for you out of the box. Like, for example, if you're solving this patient no-show problem, there is a solution already. We call them solution templates. You can get a template, customize it, deploy it, and use it. If you want to do predictive maintenance, there is a solution template. You can get it, customize it, deploy it, and use it. And by doing that, you are generating efficiency in your business. Very often, you don't have to re-engineer anything because you already have the system working. It is storing a lot of data. And it is a matter of creating a side-by-side, maybe a system of insight that enables your workers to be more productive. So our platform, our cognitive platform is obviously Progress Kinway. And there are 2 main cognitive components here, 2 big blocks. One of them is machine learning. And there are different types of learning. So there is statistical learning, there is deep learning, there is neural networking, and that's primarily Data RPM. And then on the other hand, we have rule processing. And you, of course, all know what that is, right? Progress Corticon. We all know we love the product. It is generating a lot of value for many of you. It is a very mature product, but we did not stop innovating. In fact, we're actively developing it all the time. So to show us the latest, let me invite Jim Arsenault, a general manager for Corticon. Hey, Jim. So what have you been up to?
Well, we've got a lot of exciting things going on in Corticon. Now, as you know, Corticon has long supported deployment to both Java and .NET platforms. What we have coming later this year is our JavaScript Rules product. And this is very, very cool because what this is going to allow you to do is from Corticon output your rules as a self-contained JavaScript bundle. And why that's really cool is that you'll be able to take that and deploy it as a serverless function or inside of a mobile app. Now, in the case of Convey, this is a great way to take your business logic and put it in the rules and deploy it either as a serverless function or in your app.
Cool, so I can have my rule set and I can be running it into cloud, I can be putting it with Convey, or I can deploy it on the client.
Absolutely.
Great, so can you give us an example? Like how could this work for this?
So sure, so one of the use cases that we have here is dealing with home healthcare fraud. Now in healthcare, one of the big drivers there is how do you deliver the highest quality care at the lowest cost? Now fraud is a big factor in that. And if you're a healthcare provider or a state agency, where you've got billions, 10 billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of your budget that's going to healthcare, even small percentages can make a big difference on the actual cost outlay. So with Corticon, our approach, we sort of take it, both Convey and Corticon take similar approaches in that we look to make it easy to build your applications. Now in the case of Corticon, what we're doing is we're allowing the people that understand home healthcare fraud to write the rules to do the enforcement checks. And now when we talk about fraud, it's not just just sort of outright intentional fraud, it's also unintentional. No, it's just non-compliance, overuse of services. And with Corticon, you can write the rules that can look at the data that's coming in from your healthcare providers, from the people that they're visiting, and you can then apply the rules to look for potential fraud things and raise them for a supervisor or other observation.
Very nice. So it sounds easy enough for a business user to be able to do it.
Even you could do it, Dmitri. You could write the rules.
All right, I may give it a try. So can you show us how this works?
Yeah, so we have a really quick demo here. So what we have here, if you know Corticon, this is the Corticon rule flow editor. This is showing the rule flow for doing home healthcare fraud detection, at least one of the rule flows for it. And if we start the video here, it's going to go into a rule sheet. We're making changes to the rule sheet. This is the Excel-like interface of Corticon. We're using some of the logical analysis checks. That's one of the really great capabilities of Corticon is to help you validate your rules. And then we're going to deploy. And this is really the key part here, what's different. We've had the editing experience in Corticon is really unchanged, which is great because if you're familiar with Corticon today, doing it for JavaScript, that knowledge transfers directly here. What we have here is, you can see that we've got different deployment targets. I've got selected here, going to deploy to as a Convey function. So when Corticon outputs the rules, it's actually going to generate the wrapper for you as well. So you can then take that and then deploy that directly to your Convey as a Flex function.
Very nice. So do I need to do anything on the client side? Do I need to change my application?
It's very easy to integrate this. It's a self-contained package, and there's really just 2 lines of code that you need to put into your application. It's to include the rules, and then it's to call the rules. So when you call in the rules, you're passing in your JSON payload. Now, how you got that is, that's dependent on your application. But it's that simple. It's just the 2 rules. You include the rules and you call it. And this is same is true for wherever you want to deploy the rules inside of a JavaScript platform.
Very nice. I will definitely give it a try.
Great. Thanks, Dmitri.
Thank you very much, Jim. Yeah, so just like that, if you have a business problem that requires a lot of business rules, complex business rules, it may be caused by regulatory compliance or maybe a business process, your business users can actually define a rule set and then push a button, generate JavaScript, and that JavaScript can be deployed anywhere, right, including a micro app. So this is an interesting way of generating a micro app that you can push to the client device together with an event. So there is another powerful component to productivity, and that is learning and innovation. Right? So we saw that we can be building applications, we can be doing better scheduling for equipment that you have on your factory floor, but unless your workers know how to use that equipment is not delivering any value. Right? So you must be able to enable this kind of learning at scale. And how do we do that, right? So every worker is carrying a mobile device that they can use to do their learning, and they can use new technology like AR and VR to assist them in that task. So everybody knows that, developers, now that I'm building Corticon rules, developers are machines for converting, coffee into code. So I got myself a new essential tool here, a coffee machine. I never saw it before, but fortunately I have my mobile phone, and I got an AR tool that I can just point at this coffee maker, and it is walking me through all the steps that are required to make coffee. So this is, yeah, it's a very powerful concept, right? Sometimes, you know, you travel somewhere in Japan or in Europe, I cannot figure out how to turn on the shower, right? So I would love to have this, this device, you know, to use on the road. But with this coffee maker, it works. And so it works with the shower, it works with the coffee maker, it also works with any kind of complex equipment that you would like to deploy to your workers. So this is a very powerful concept, and we believe in it enough to actually start a project to make development of such applications much, much easier. So let me introduce Vaibhav Kapoor, our senior architect in Progress Labs, who's been working on this for quite some time and created a studio. He calls it Reality Studio for creating AR applications of this nature. Hey, Vaibhav. So can you show us how this works?
Yeah, sure. It's actually quite simple. You just need to log into our portal. And once you're on the portal, you have a choice to either edit an existing app or you can choose to create one. And when you're creating the application, you start by selecting the target devices, which can be smartphones, tablets, or smart glasses. You also have a choice to choose the experience type, whether it's AR or VR. For the app we just saw, we went ahead with AR. And once you're on the workbench, you have a set of scenes, right, in which you can just simply drag and drop certain pre-built elements. For an app like this, all that was required to drag and drop certain markers so that we can pinpoint, okay, this is a point of interest where something needs to be done, and certain instruction panels to go to add certain meaningful information and guidance for the procedure. And you just drag drop things.
Oh, that's my coffee maker right there.
Yeah, just right there, right? Yeah. So it helps to place content relative to the real object so that it's meaningful. And like this, you can create a sequence of steps. You can create multiple scenes as well. And once you're totally done with the procedure that you intend to make, you can control the navigation between them through a mini-map, which we are just seeing. And once that is done, you can do a mock run of the app that you have created. So it actually helps in saving a lot of iterations of development and testing. Once you're done with the dry run, you can actually test it on the target device as well, which is as easy as scanning a QR code presented by the workbench. And the app is available on your device, and you can test it. And once you're satisfied with it, you can publish it on the cloud or on the local device. You can also choose to publish this application as an independent app, or probably as an embeddable app, which will just go and plug into an existing application of yours. And that's it, you're done.
This is very cool. So this looks like a no-code tool for AR applications.
Yes. So that's the kind of value that we want to bring to the table, that in order to create an AR or VR application, you don't need any special skill set. You just come to our portal, drag and drop few elements, and that's it, you're done.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Vaibhav.
Thank you.
Great job. Yeah, so just like that, you can create a walkthrough video or walkthrough AR experience for any equipment. And usually when you are designing an equipment like, let's say, this coffee maker here, you already have 3D diagrams, you already have 3D designs. So you can import all of that into this wonderful studio, you create a workflow, you drag and drop all the different elements that you want to display, to illustrate the use of that equipment. You push a button and you can deploy it, right? You can deploy it as a micro app, actually, to a container that is used by your employees. Very, very powerful. And I'm asked all the time, yes, we heard about AR, we heard about VR, it is all gaming. Is there like a real application for that technology in the enterprise? So this is a good example of applying augmented reality to increase your productivity. And so what can we do with AR and VR for this scenario that we have been discussing here, the application that we have developed for our hospital, for our patients and doctors? So when a patient comes for a visit, what can we use VR or AR for to make that visit more productive? So when you go and see a doctor very often, or sometimes you have to listen about a complex medical procedure, something that I'm like far from medicine that I don't understand. So maybe with VR, we could transform that experience and make it more understandable. So we actually have a data visualization team here at Progress that has been working on this problem for some time. So let me invite them here on stage. Georgi Atanasov and Dian Yosifov. They are the data visualization tool team. So Dian, you'll be doctor today?
Yes, I'm there.
Good. And
Hello,
Georgi,
Dmitri.
you're the patient?
Yeah.
Good. Take it away.
Okay. Hello, Jack.
Hello, doctor.
The reports from your medical results are ready, and I'll be able to see them now with our specialized healthcare software joining this virtual medical room. So let me join the application with this VR headset.
Are we in?
No, actually the controller needs to be just
The device came.
Yes, it is working now.
I'm doing my best here. I'm like trying to help, you know.
It is live demo, so
All right, there we go. We just went through the doctor's brain. Look at that.
Yeah.
okay, so we have joined the room.
Okay.
You may see here, this is your medical results, and this is a simple human body that I'll use in order to describe in more details what we need to do.
Okay.
So looking at the X-ray, it is unremarkable. However, the respiratory rate and your heart rate are a bit high, especially for someone training for a sport event. So let's see what our predictive analysis software, the 8RPM, says about these results. So, yes, you may see here next to your heart, here is a blinking sign, which shows that there is something in your pulmonary artery that blocks the normal blood flow, and this may be seen also on this angiogram here. So there is higher than average chance of having pulmonary embolism, which is life-threatening condition.
Doctor, this looks really scaring. What can be done?
Well, knowing that this is life-threatening condition, I really strongly recommend the surgery in order to remove the clot from this artery.
So are you telling me that you need to open my chest to remove a clot?
Well, no, Jack, no. Actually, there is a minimally invasive procedure that would allow us to remove this clot. Do you want to show you more details about this?
Yeah, absolutely, please.
So I'll get back to the muscles. So here in your stomach, we are going to make a small cut in order to find the vein. Then we'll put a specialized medical wire through the vein in order to reach the clot and either break it or entirely remove it from your body. So basically, this is the procedure.
I see. So no cuts on my chest, just this small cut.
Well, yes, it is almost bloodless surgery, so no need to worry.
Okay. Okay, let's then schedule an appointment and proceed this further.
Okay, so we can schedule an appointment. We need to make some additional tests before the surgery, and if you have a VR device at home, the next time we may connect remotely and securely so that you don't need to come in place. How does it sound to you?
So if I have a device at home, we can collaborate like this remotely?
Yes, you can install this healthcare application and we can hear each other remotely.
Okay. Thank you, doctor.
So, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Georgi.
Thank you, Dmitri.
I saw inside of you. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Dian. Great job. Yeah, so all this technology, right, that can be applied in so many different ways. So We spoke about applications and how apps can be developed with a high productivity platform like Kinvey or OpenEdge. We spoke about micro apps, right? So if you're hitting that app fatigue limit in your enterprise, consider micro apps. The platform is available, it is ready. You can go to a session on micro apps. There is a demo here on the show floor. If you are accumulating now, you deployed all these applications, you must be collecting data. Just take a look at that data. See how it can be used to drive your efficiency. You already have it, I assure you. You just need to put it to better use. So to put it to better use data RPM. Use any kind of data science machine learning tool. Apply business rules on top of it with Progress Corticon. You cannot lose, right? So this is a way to drive efficiency. And then, of course, there are new technologies. You need to continuously learn and innovate. So with technologies like AR, VR, you can deliver value today, right? So it's not in the future, it is today. And definitely be back here next year. I will tell you about that next step that I promised. It will be here. Thank you very much. You've been a great audience.